Well, one of the things that I know that you and I have in common, even though maybe we haven't met or I haven't spent a lot of time with you, other than um, we just wish that the weather would make up its mind, right? Could find some place, a temperature to set on. But one of the things that I know that we have in common is that we live in a context, we live in a world that is filled with things competing for our attention. Right? It's always trying to pull us in, maybe distract us or grab our attention. Things will say, click here, join me, read me, watch me, buy me. I mean, the other day I was at Barnes & Noble. I just ran in to get some coffee, and I was going to run out because I had a meeting to go to. And as I got the coffee, I walked outside, and on the sleeve, on the sleeve. How many know that distractions, you don't have to find distractions find you? And here's what was on the sleeve, right? Fresh baked chocolate chip cookie, right? Freshly baked. They probably sent it about a week ago, mailed it from corporate to them. But it was freshly baked at some time. But I'm a sucker for cookies. I'm a sucker for chocolate chip cookies, and I love something sweet with coffee. But, I was already outside. But I just thought, I don't have to look for distractions. You don't either. You don't have to look for distractions. Distractions come to you. And they're all over. And I think, we're all prone to distractions too. I mean, we can have some confession right now, right? We're Protestant, but we can have confession in here, right? How many of you would say that you're easily distracted? I think most of us would say that we can easily be drawn off course. I love this statement here, and I want to be fair to distractions because not all distractions are bad. Only a distraction becomes bad when it pulls us away from something of greater value than the distraction is, right? So here's a great statement, or I like it. It says, the things that I get distracted by are rarely as important as the things that I get distracted from, right? Not all distractions are bad. We need to put it in perspective to say the things that I get distracted by are rarely as important as the things that I get distracted from. And what makes them bad is that they entice me away from something that in my mind I say is more valuable or more important to me. Work is not bad. In fact, I would say I love my work. I think it's a good work, but work's not bad unless it interferes with my responsibilities to lead my family. Or say it like this, work's not bad unless it causes me to neglect a greater importance to me or greater value, and that is to lead my own family. Hobbies are not bad unless it causes you to, unless it interferes with your work. So the things that I get distracted by are rarely as important as the things that I get distracted from. And when we get pulled away by things of lesser importance, then what happens is that what we say in our mind, what we say we value the most, is sacrificed. It's affected. Now that's the intro, and I want to give you two disclaimers before I get into the body of the message. First disclaimer, although this topic is focused and can be applied to all ambitions, like staying focused on whatever, weight or exercise or work, my aim is to help us all become focused followers of Jesus in a world that's filled with distractions. And that shouldn't surprise you at all. The reason why I'm talking about focus is not like just self-help so that you can have your best life now. I'm talking about focus so that you can be a focused follower of Jesus, a disciple of Jesus. Now, I think if you are a focused follower of Christ, you will live your best life now. That's a kind of a popular phrase going around. But I think your best life now is the one that gives the most glory to God. And focus will allow you to stay close enough to Jesus so that it will pervade and run through all of your relationships instead of having to focus on 1,000 other things, focus on one thing, and it'll affect everything else. Second disclaimer, Christianity doesn't have a formula to it. There isn't a formula to following Jesus. Discipleship is way more than just reading a book, going through a curriculum, completing a class. It's more about getting the heart of Jesus. That's what discipleship is. And it can't be reduced to a series of steps. While you can say it is more like just following Jesus in his steps. Wherever Jesus will go, that's where we want to go. Now, while it can't be reduced to a formula, I do think it's built upon God-given wise principles. And the principles of following and staying focused, a focused follower of Christ, is given and is true. These principles are true for all people at all times, in all places. In another way of saying it would be, it's universal. There are principles that God laid out the universe on, and he said, if you will align your life with these principles, then you are more likely, life is more likely going to go, you're going to give greater honor and glory to God. I'm not going to say go the way that you want it to go, but I'm just saying that your life will reflect God if you will build your life upon these principles. So what we're going to look at today is a principle, and it's a principle that's so obvious. You're going to say, Reg, I wonder why you even have to talk about that. And the reason why we have to talk about it is because we are so easily distracted. It's so obvious that we even have to be reminded of it. So obvious because we're prone to distraction. So if there's a formula in the Bible, like a 1, 2, 3, follow this. This is it. Or this is one of them. It's found in Proverbs 4, 25 through 27. It was my memory verse for this week. But I'm not going to try to recite it because anytime I try to recite something, I blow it up in front of a lot of people. So here we go. Here it is. Let your eyes look directly forward. Just let this kind of sit. I've used this for years. Let your eyes look directly forward and your gaze be straight before you. This is verse 26. Ponder the path of your feet. Ponder. Everybody go, That's ponder. Ponder the path of your feet. And if you ponder the path of your feet, what's going to happen? These are wise principles. This is by Solomon, known for his wisdom. Then your ways, all of your ways, not some, all of your ways will be sure. Verse 27 says, do not swerve to the right, don't swerve to the left. Turn your foot from evil, and turn your foot from evil. So here's how obvious this is to us, and I want us to begin with the obvious, and that is on a road trip. Let's just take a road trip. Let's don't think about discipleship right now. Let's just apply this and see how wise this is for taking a trip. It says, let your eyes look directly forward. What does this imply? So Solomon here is implying that you have a destination in mind. You know where you want to go, that you've determined a spot. So this is the first step in taking a road trip or a vacation for us. So you've decided that you have time to get away, and now the question is, where do you want to get away? Right, let your eyes look directly forward. If you don't have a destination, then you don't know where to put your eyes towards. Now, in about a month, I'm going to be traveling for my niece is getting married in Florida. So I've got a road trip planned to go to Florida. Anybody got a road trip planned? Got road trips planned coming up anytime soon? No? Anybody? Where are you going, JR? Going to Disney. So you got a road trip. So you've decided, I've got some time, I've got some space, I want to go somewhere. I want to go to Disney. Anybody else want to go to Disney with JR? JR would love to pay for your ticket. JR has some deep pockets. So you decide where you want to go. You have to know where you want to go. It doesn't matter. Now, if it doesn't matter where you go, if you don't know where you want to go, then any path that you take will take you there. Just get in the car and go, right? If it doesn't matter where you want to go, it doesn't matter if you have a destination, then just get in the car and go to any place, just anywhere you land is going to be okay. But what Solomon is saying is let your eyes look directly forward, meaning find a place, a destination, set your eyes on that, fix your eyes on it, And put your gaze straight before you, or in one translation it says, fix your gaze on that spot. Second thing says, ponder the path of your feet, then all your ways will be sure. Now, with your destination in mind, we got to plan out the best way to get there. We know the destination, right? This is so obvious. You're saying, Ray, why are we even talking about this? Because we're going to relate it to a spiritual principle. So you know where you want to go. Now you're going to get the maps out, get Google Maps out, as you're traveling, you look at some apps like Waze or Gas Buddy or things like that. How many remember Rand McAnally maps? Anybody travel with Rand McAnally maps? Anybody remember that? Right? Those were dangerous, right? You got this thing, you're taking a trip. I remember my dad having this thing stretched out all the way across the front of the car. It's like swerving all over the place. Like the font is like font 2. So you cannot see and trying to drive. It's crazy. Thank God for technology. But here we are. We're planning our way now to where we want to go. What's the best way of getting where I decided that I want to go? What road's going to point me towards where I want to go? Because it's not our intention about getting somewhere. It's the direction that we're headed that will determine the destination. Our intention does not determine the destination. Our direction. You can tell me you want to go to San Antonio, but if you're headed I-10 east towards Louisiana, that country over there, then you're not going to make it to San Antonio. It is the direction that your feet are going. That's why we want to ponder and plan out our path. Solomon's saying, once you know where you want to go, then give consideration to what will get you to where you want to go. Then your steps will be sure. Number 3, do not swerve to the right or to the left. Once you know where you want to go, you've planned out your itinerary, your route, then stay on the path. You're going to eliminate wrong turns. You're going to eliminate unnecessary stops. And just to let you know, if it sells barbecue for me or if it's called Buc-ee's, it's not a distraction, right? My wife says, man, you just get in a road trip, and I'm like at Sour Lake and see this little barbecue place. I got to eat. Like barbecue calls my name. So we can say it like this. You want to determine your destination. Then you want to ponder your path. Then while you're on the path, you got to stay focused. Now, all 3 of these will speak to us. And we're going to move from a trip to more of discipleship. But all 3 of these will speak to us. Some of them say, man, maybe you need to clarify where you really want to go, what you really want to be. Others will say, you've already done that. Now you just need to shape your path. You need to ponder your path. You need to organize your life during the day, during the week, so that what you're doing will actually take you to where you want to be. It'll help you become who you want to be. Or others will say, I've got the first 2, but I'm just so easily distracted. Now, it's not going to be helpful. This isn't going to be helpful today because this is a lot of content you're going to take down. And it's not going to be helpful for you unless you take this thought outside of this setting and that you give some time to meditate on and to think through. Try to get down to the center. So here we go. Let's start with the first. We're going to say step 1, or the first part of the formula. Let your eyes look directly forward. Let your eyes look directly forward. And let your gaze be straight before you. This is the first place that you have to start in discipleship. Because the other 2 following steps that's coming after, ponder your path of your feet, can't be done until you know where you want to go. And you can't really be distracted until you really have a place to go. Right? If I'm on vacation and I wake up the first day and I don't have to do anything, I can't be distracted. Wouldn't that be nice? Isn't that lovely when you just wake up and you don't have to do anything? I sleep as long as I want to. I don't have to check in anywhere. I just watch TV if I want to. I can go out for a walk. I can go eat. If you don't have any place that you don't want to go or you need to go, you can't be distracted. Everything is on the table. Now, the day before is a different story, right? The day before vacation is crazy. Wouldn't you like to be as efficient every day of your life as you are on the day before you leave for a trip? It's like I'm knocking out this list. Now I can be distracted because I have something that I want to do. But you can't do the other 2 until you start with this. And this implies, again, you have a destination. So instead of saying, where do you want to go? This is what I want you to ask yourself. And I would love for everyone to ask yourself, not where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And Solomon here is saying, before you start, before you go, before you get in the car, before you start your discipleship, before you do this, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about who you want to be, meaning where do you want to go in your life? What do you want to become? It's almost like Solomon was plagiarizing Stephen Covey's Begin with the End in Mind. Like he just stole that right from Stephen Covey. That was a joke. No one got it. So I've told this story many times. When I was 19 years old, I had a friend of mine that passed away, and family now attending the church here at Praise. At 19 years old, I was at the funeral home. We were standing outside the funeral home, and we went inside, packed just, shoulder to shoulder with young people, 19, 20 years old, 18, 19. And for some reason, I projected myself into the casket. I know it's weird. It happened, though. And I thought, if that was me, what would the pastor be saying about me in front of everybody else? When we stood outside, my friends were talking about how he lived his life. For some crazy reason, I just thought if this was me, what would they be saying? And from that point on, I'm not to say I had it perfect, but it pointed me in a direction to begin with the end in mind, to think about when everything is done, what do I want to have been said about me or could be said about me? Not so much about what I would do, but who I would be. I could think of the same thing about being a pastor. I think if you're going to go and you're going to give some considerable thought to this, you got to ask yourself, who do you want to be? Project yourself at the end of your life. Everybody comes and tells you, thank you so much for being fill in the blank. What's most valuable to you? There will be a day where I will no longer be pastor here. But that's what I want to think about. When I'm done here, what would I want you to say to me? Why don't I determine what that is so that I can start working towards that now and creating that? 40 years from now, my children will have an idea of what type of father that I was. If you ask my children 40 years from now, just like if I asked you, what type of father did you have? You could be able to say, this is what would come to your mind. What do I want my kids to immediately come to their heads? So if that's what I value and if that's what I want, why wouldn't I right now see it as clearly as I can so that I can start, how do I get there? Wow, what's the steps that I need to take? But we can't do number 2. You can't do number 3. You can't go on any further if you don't know who you want to be or where you want to go. Any place, any road, any offer, tomorrow will be okay. I'm okay with it. But if you know where you want to go, not everything is on the table. It's intentional living. You want to live a purpose-driven life? That's a purpose-driven life. But you have to know what you want to be. So here's number 1 for you. I'm going to just tell you who you need to be, okay? I'm going to make it easy and just start it off, and then you can figure out the other 2. I mean, this is church, y'all. This is our heart. I want to help you be a follower of Jesus, a focused follower of Jesus, not just a Christian, because a Christian, I want you to be a disciple. I don't mind using the word Christian, but if you tell people you're a Christian, there's a lot of definitions for Christians these days, right? People fill that in. A focused follower of Jesus, a disciple of Jesus, is just what it is. I want this one identity, and here's why. I want this one identity to define me, that I was a follower, a focused follower of Jesus, because this one role, this one identity can source all the other roles, all the other identities that I have. I want to be a focused follower of Jesus that happens to be a father. I'm not a father first that happens to be a focused follower of Jesus. I'm a focused follower of Jesus that gets to be a father. I'm a focused follower of Jesus that gets to be a pastor. Because if I do that, then I will begin with this one thing. I'm a focused follower of Jesus. How would a focused follower of Jesus parent? How would a focused follower of Jesus lead a church? How would a focused follower of Jesus be a friend? I want this to inform all of my roles. I like how Paul gets down to the heart of some things like Galatians 2:20. He says, I have been crucified with Christ. I've died. I'm dead. It's no longer I who live. I mean, what would that look like for you to really to work towards? I have been crucified with Christ. Meaning I'm not seeking my desires. I'm not seeking what I want, my ambitions. It's no longer I who live, it's Christ who lives in me. Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the kingdom of God. If you do that, what's going to happen? All these things will be added to you. Seek first the kingdom of God. Philippians 3:13, Paul writes, this one thing I do. I like that. I love it when he says things like that. This one thing I do, and because it says that he's given some thought towards that one thing and what's the most important thing. I forget what lies behind. I'm going to forget all the things that I'm embarrassed about. I'm going to forget all my accomplishments. That's behind me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to strain forward to what lies ahead. I press on towards the goal for the prize of the upward call that's to be found in Christ Jesus. And what would it look like right now if you say, I forget everything behind me right now? It's just all about pressing ahead to know Jesus. So it's the first place to start. Congratulations. I'm assuming since you're here, you've already started. You've already started to be a focused follower of Jesus. And when you determine who you want to be, then now you can continue to step 3 in what would be the formula of following Jesus. And that is, let's start pondering. Let's start doing some, who do I want to, how am I going to get to what do I need to do to be who I want to be? Ponder the path of your feet. Then what's going to happen? All of your ways are going to be sure. Yeah, we want to take the right route when we're going on a road trip. Well, when you're going on a road trip of making who you want to be, you want to make sure that the steps that you're taking are sure, that the steps that you're taking, the direction that you're headed is leading you to who and what you want to be. What's most important to you? What do I need to be the person that I want to become? The destination should determine the route. Listen, the destination determines the route. But once you get on the route determines the destination. At first, we're going to say the destination is going to cause me to choose certain ways to get there. But once you start taking those things start taking you somewhere. Make sure that where the things that you're involved in are taking you to the things that you want to become. Or you're going to get down life and you're going to go, I've wasted 10 years, 5 years, or what happened to these relationships? And I thought I valued them, but obviously I didn't value them. Where are you headed? Where are your steps headed? I believe, this is just me, this is the largest area of neglect. I think people have ideas about who they want to be and become, but rarely do we sit down and ponder, what do I need to do to actually, what would I need to do to every day or regularly that would, if I would continue doing it, would help me become who I want to be. Here's my personal discovery. I just want to share one little personal discovery I had this year, because I set goals. I bust goals every year, but I still set. Remember, I said the best way to finish is to start. It gives me the best opportunity to finish, and I just start. If you don't start, your chances of finishing drastically go down. So I was thinking one of the things that I do is I like to read. And why do I read? Just asking myself questions like this, all right? So don't think I'm crazy. I said, so why do you read? Well, the reason I read, because books cost money, or listening to it, costs money, and it takes time, takes me away from things. So I'm saying yes to something. When I say yes to something, I'm saying no to something else, right? So I want to say yes to books. Why do I read books? And for me, I read books to get information so that I can become better. I don't like... I like reading books that help me become better, more knowledge about who I want to become. Oh, if you're going to read books that help you become better, then what categories do you want to get better in? Because why would I want to read and get better in categories that's not important to me? So I just come up with 3 categories. Family was one of them. Leadership was another. Spirituality was another. And said during this year, the books that I read are going to revolve around the values that I hold. So if you want to know what someone truly values, go look at their bookshelves. So if you say you value being a husband, wife, parent, I would ask, do what you say you value really match what you're doing during the day? Because what you read about during the days will determine where it points you and helps aim your heart to who you're becoming. That was just a discovery for myself, that I want to aim myself towards, becoming the person that I want to be. That's why we do small groups around here. I'll call it shaping your path. You want to put things that cause your steps, that if you keep stepping and stepping and stepping, one day if you had your eyes closed but you kept stepping in this direction, you would look up and go, wow, that has helped me become closer to who I want to be. That's why we do small groups, because small groups are weekly meetings together with a group of people that are headed in the same direction. And it's a scheduled thing that gets it in your schedule, and that it points your heart to becoming a focused follower of Jesus. That's why I think this gathering together right now on Sunday mornings is so important to commit yourself to, because you come here and it helps point your heart towards Jesus, and you help by your presence point other people's heart towards Jesus. There are things that are within our regimen, within our days, within our weeks, that keep our steps headed in the same direction. That's why it's so important to have personal disciplines. Waking up in the morning and setting your mind on Jesus, right? Connecting to the vine, saying things like this: I'm going to do the one main thing, the first thing. Like the main thing needs to be done first thing in the morning, because I want to set my mind on Jesus. Because how many know that if you don't set your mind on Jesus first thing, something will set your mind on something else? And I'm just trying to communicate here is you got to find out who you want to be. Like, you're a focused follower of Jesus. Now, what are the steps that are going to help lead you, that if you keep on doing regularly, focused on it, what's going to point you towards that? Because if you don't, what we're going to do is we're going to say we value this, but our steps aren't going to validate that we really value those things. What we do with our discretionary time really tells us what we value. Our minds are so easily distracted. So if we're not intentional or structured, then we're going to just live distracted life. So 1, 2, 3, create the destination. Who do you want to be? Ponder the path of your feet. 3, once you're there on this path, don't swerve. Don't swerve to the right. Don't swerve to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. So it says, know who you want to become. Ponder the path of your feet, plan, look out for the distractions. And a distraction is anything that's going to pull you off course. Right? A distraction, as looked at the etymology of distraction, it comes from dis, which means away. Dis, away, like disappeared. You've been away from appearing, dislocated. You've been pulled away from location, dislocated bone, been pulled away from location. Dis means to pull away. Trahir means to drag or draw away. Just means to drag you away from your course. Now, I think by now, every one of us can identify what our distractions are. What is it tomorrow? What is it this week that's going to try to pull you off course? What pulls you away from being a focused follower of Jesus? Examples could be saying yes to too much. Remember, when you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something else. Make sure you say yes to the important, so that what you say yes to, doesn't sacrifice the most important to you. Saying yes, creating busy. Maybe it's just thoughts and lies that you're believing about yourself. Maybe those are the distractions. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe there's a relationship, that you're not committed to a long-term relationship, but yet those relationships seem to pull you away. Maybe it's a sin. Look, we've lived long enough right now. I can say, what's your distraction from being a focused follower of Jesus? And you could be able to tell me. Now, they all may be different. And I find it very curious. I love how James, the brother of Jesus, wrote about sin being a distraction. He says, let no one say when he's tempted, I'm being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil. and he himself tempts no one. It says, but each person is tempted when he's lured away and he's enticed, when he's distracted by his own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it's fully grown, brings forth death. And he's talking about, James is saying, sin will lure you away. It'll lure you away, and it's enticing. So what do we have to be? What do we have to be? You've got this destination. You know who you want to become. A focused follower of Jesus. And now you thought, you pondered the path of your feet. What's going to help me do that? What do I need to do in the morning when I wake up? What do I need to have in my discretionary time tomorrow during my day? What do I need to become disciplined in doing? What discipline, what group of people do I need to get with? Who do I need to get away from? But as I'm walking this path, day and week and a month and year after year, what are those distractions that are going to be coming in? And again, you know what that is. I know right now, could tell you, these are going to be my distractions tomorrow. And if I can identify my distractions now, you know what that means? Tomorrow, I'm going to be alert. I'm looking for them. And I can call them out. And I can be prepared. I can be vigilant. It's like Peter said, humble yourselves. I think that would be really good. I think there's a frog back here somewhere. Humble yourselves. That was a distraction. And it would be good for everyone in here just to say, you know what? Yeah, we're given into distractions. That means that we would humble ourselves. We're easily pulled off course. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so at the proper time, he can exalt you. Cast all your anxieties on him. He cares for you. Be sober-minded. Be sober-minded. Be watchful. Be vigilant. One translation says, be vigilant. Why? Because your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion. And many of you can say, yeah, I know, I've been this victim before. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him. Be firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world, meaning that your distractions are the same as distractions as everybody else has. So here we go. We'll close out with this. Stay focused. Who do you want to be? What do you need to do so that you can be? And then stay focused. I'm going to ask you to choose right now. What needs priority attention in your life right now? Do you have a clear picture of who you want to be? I mean, is it like where it's motivating, where it's clear? All right? Or the question would be, do you know what you need to do in order to be who you want to be? You're not just going to float there. Or do you have those two things down and you're just easily distracted? You need to identify your distractions better. I want you to choose one of those three so that when we walk out of here today, at least you will have something that you go, you know what, I need to think about this. I'm telling you, I could go on and on, but here's what I know. We may say, if I say, what do you guys value? I could ask this to any group of people. I will say any group. I would say any church. They're going to say pretty much the same things. God, family, health, work. It may not be in that order, but it usually say God and family. But if we look at our path and we look at what we do, I would say, I don't know that our path matches who we want to be. There's incongruence. And I just want us to say, man, life is way too short. Way too short. Know who you want to be. Make sure that what you do takes you to where you want to be. And then when you're on that path, let's learn to say no. Amen?